Well, for some analysis on this, France 24's international affairs commentator Douglas Herbert joins me in the studio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning.
This has been hailed as a victory for France, but it also comes at a critical time while France is in the process of drawing down its forces in the Sahel.
Yeah, look, the context is important. It's not to diminish the victory. This was obviously a big terrorist leader in the region, and obviously knocking him out of the equation is going to have an impact operationally on the types of attacks, at least in the short term, that can be waged. But the context is important. Emmanuel Macron announced back in June that he was drawing down the French military presence in the region. It's been under the aegis of an operation called Barkhane. It's been there for years now. And Macron's basic wish is to end the counterterrorism operations in West Africa in general and start to hand off the baton for the region's security to the regions, to the countries in the region themselves, and bring in more broadly other international players, that is, European partners. France has been sort of taking the lead, I guess is putting it mildly. France has been out front in the Sahel region in this fight, and a little bit like the U.S. and Afghanistan, is a little bit sick of it, to put it bluntly. Now, obviously, that's not the official line from the Elysee, we're sick of it and we're getting out, but there really is a desire right now that France does not want to solely be seen as carrying the weight and the burden of this terror fight. It wants the countries to take more of their own peace and security into their own hands. It wants the UN mission perhaps to do more as well. The UN mission is basically weak, and it's seen as almost a laughingstock in the region right now. Its soldiers are not very war-hardened, to say the least, and the mission itself is very, very limited. It's a defensive mission, and the soldiers in the UN mission rarely venture beyond their bases into the actual desert of the Sahel. So yes, a victory for France, coming in a context, though, where France more broadly is trying to get out of the Sahel, trying to draw down its forces. So politically, they're saying we're doing this in order to have a more concentrated wedge against terrorism, to lead more targeted terror operations such as this one. But in fact, jihadist threat is still relatively big on the ground. Jihadists, other groups are gaining traction, and they're moving south in search of money as they're flushed out of the north by forces such as the French operation until now.
Yeah, the threat, of course, as you suggest, is still not gone. But either way, it is still significant that the announcement of this militant's death came from the president himself.
Absolutely. You know, last time we heard of a big hit against a terror leader in the region, it was the leader of the al-Qaeda's affiliate back in June 2020. And back then, it wasn't Macron, it was the French minister of the army, Florence Parly, who made the announcement. This time, Macron himself tweeted, as you said, in the middle of the night to make the announcement himself. Context is everything here, right? You say geography is history, context is everything. You have a French presidential election looming around the corner. Looming is the right word because it's in April 2022. That's not too far off, and all of the candidates right now are vying to be dominant on certain issues, and the big issues that are right now in the forefront are security and terrorism, immigration not far behind, but these are sort of issues that traditionally have favored conservative and right-wing candidates. Macron is trying to seize that ground. What he's trying to do here is those who dare to call me weak, perhaps, and say, oh, we're drawing down our presence in Sahel, we're getting out, we're not doing the fight anymore. Look what we can still do. We can still win the battle there and be smart about it and draw down our forces. So this is really him trying to legitimize his announcement to reduce the French presence in the region, to say we can still do our jobs with fewer men on the ground, fewer boots on the ground. And he's also a shot across the bow to his potential rivals on the right, mainly, in this upcoming election, saying, you think I'm lax on security? You think I'm going to be lax on terrorism? Look here. Exhibit number 1 is what happened overnight in the Sahel, him tweeting about it personally.
And this, even though the threat, as we've said, is still there.
Still there.
Either way, we'll have to keep it there. But thank you so
Absolutely.
much, Douglas Herbert, for that.